What is up? Truth and Transparency, welcome. We're going to first start. This is a replay that I'm going to do. But I'm first going to start with Maddie Mogan's family that made a statement. And then we're going to go straight into the hearing for those of you guys that missed it. And I'm going to show you guys some pictures from inside the courthouse. It was a poll camera, so everything had to be made public from the photographer. It was so nobody has rights to it. So again, thank you guys for joining. November 13th, 2022, and now here we are, July 2nd, 2025, and then we'll be back July 23rd, 2025. So let's first hear what Maddie's family put out.
Good afternoon. I'm Leander James from the law firm of James, Vernon and Weeks in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'm a victims' rights attorney. For the past 2 years, I've had the privilege and the honor to provide pro bono representation in this criminal case for Karen Laramie and Scott Laramie, the loving mother and stepfather of Maddie Mogan. I will be reading a statement of gratitude today from the Laramies. 962 days ago, we lost our Maddie, our kind, loving, vivacious, and caring daughter full of purpose and promise. We are grateful for the gift of her life, and we have grieved the loss of that life during each of these 962 days. We love you, Maddie, and we miss you. We are grateful for the gift of the young, vivacious, promising lives of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. And we deeply, deeply mourn their senseless loss. We remain in solidarity with their families and friends, and we continue to shower them with our prayers and support. We are grateful for their prayers, love, and support that they have given us. They have helped us and sustained us during our darkest times. We are grateful to the prosecutor, Bill Thompson, and his dedicated and caring team, including victim coordinators, Kim and Stacy, who have helped to guide us through the sometimes confusing and disorienting legal process. Thank you for all your dedicated, diligent, and tireless commitment to justice and the successful outcome reached today. We support the plea agreement 100%. While we know there are some who do not support it, we ask that they respect our belief that this is the best outcome possible for the victims, their families, and the state of Idaho. We extend our deep gratitude to the many law enforcement officers and staff who worked tirelessly to obtain the critical evidence that brought justice today, including the Moscow Police Department, the FBI, the Idaho State Patrol, and the Lake County Sheriff's Department. We are deeply grateful to Judge Hippler and Judge John Judge before him. We thank you for your diligence, thoughtfulness, and judicial guidance. We appreciate the difficult work you have done to balance the rights of all involved and to uphold the rule of law. You have had our prayers and support throughout this case. We send our love and gratitude to the many family and friends who have supported us, cared for us, and helped us to heal our open emotional wounds. To the good people of North Idaho, who have showered us with kindness and support, we thank you. We also mourn today with you the recent tragic and senseless loss of two brave North Idaho firefighters. We extend our prayers and support to their families. You are not alone. We understand your pain. For all parents who have endured the loss of a child, we know recovery is a long and at times an almost unbearable journey. But you are not alone. and there is hope, and there is healing. We thank those in the press who have respected our privacy and the grieving process, and the privacy and grieving process of the families of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. To others in the press, we gently encourage you to do the same. We thank the many people across our nation and beyond who have reached out to us, prayed for us, and extended their kindness. You too have helped us on our journey to heal. We now embark on a new path. We turn from tragedy and mourning. We turn from darkness and uncertainty of the legal process to the light of the future. We have closure. We embark on a path of hope and healing. We invite all of those who have mourned with us to join us, and we wish you well. Thank you. I will now share a few words of my own. Over the past 2 years, I've been amazed and humbled by Karen and Scott's strength, endurance, and faith. They have uplifted me and so many. They founded a nonprofit to help others in the name of Maddie. They have been a beacon of hope amidst a dark and tragic time. To those young and bright attorneys out there looking for purpose and meaning in your profession, I invite you to join the effort of crime victim attorneys to bring victims justice with compassion, empathy, humility, and understanding. This case is not the end of violence. This case is not the end of lawlessness. We need your help to bring hope and healing to the innocent caught in the crossfire of life. Thank you all.
All right, and welcome to Truth and Transparency. Now I'm going to break it down with some pausing. If you're just joining us, this is Maddie's mom's and her husband, which is Maddie's stepfather's family statement. This is a response to the plea. I'm hoping that this isn't all they're going to say. I'm hoping that everybody's coming back and that they are going to be part of the victim impact speeches and speak afterwards as well. So I think this is about the plea deal solely. And so I just was, if this ever gets heard by anybody in that family, I really enjoyed this message. And I think that I hope that you guys are coming back, and I believe that you are, for July 23rd.
Good afternoon. I'm Leander James from the law firm of James, Vernon and Weeks in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'm a victims' rights attorney. For the past 2 years, I've had the privilege and the honor to provide pro bono representation.
All right, so 2 years. Let's see when this would have happened then. Like if he's just rounding out. This is me just being so number oriented. So July of 2023, June 2023.
In this criminal case for Karen.
So basically, right before what was supposed to be a preliminary hearing in June of 2023, it ended up not having the preliminary hearing in June of 2023, and it was, in fact, a grand jury. So it was right after that. Which makes sense after they would have indicted him.
Laramie and Scott Laramie. The loving mother and step.
Those people that were always asking back in the day, who are the KLs and the SLs in the protective order? Scott, Karen, Laramie. Her last name is not Mogan.
Father of Maddie Mogan. I will be reading a statement of gratitude today from the Laramies.
So right there, he makes it known that this is a statement of gratitude. Okay. So Maddie's family, at least her mom, And then Ben did his own little piece. I I think I put that out there last night, but if not, I'll play it again. Um, they are 100% in support of the plea deal. And I think I know why they are, and I'll make all of my opinions known at the conclusion. But so everybody knows that they are giving gratitude. They believe that the plea deal is actually what is best for everybody.
962 days ago.
I love how they mention the days. 962 days. Like 962 days. Think about it, what's like as a parent, like you don't hear from your kid like 1 day or 2 days. 962 days. It's probably been like Groundhog's Day every single day, you know, with like waking up to the same nightmare and then sprinkles of new parts like infiltrate your nightmare that you wake up to every single day.
We lost our Maddie, our kind, loving, vivacious, and caring daughter full of purpose and promise. We are grateful for the gift of her life, and we have grieved the loss of that life during each of these 962 days. We love you, Maddie, and we miss you. We are grateful for the gift of the young, vivacious, promising lives of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan, and we deeply, deeply mourn their senseless loss. We remain in solidarity with their families and friends, and we continue to shower them with our prayers and support. We are grateful for their prayers, love, and support that they have given us. They have helped us and sustained us during our darkest times. We are grateful to the prosecutor, Bill Thompson.
Right there. I mean, this is complete opposite of how the Gonsalves family feels and how Xana's family feels. They are grateful for Bill Thompson. Now remember, they've been with this firm for 2 years. And so it's like anything when you're being like, I believe that you are only ever as good as your leadership. So like your parents, when you have good parents, like that's going to only ever help a little child growing up, you know, your leadership in life is everything. And so for this statement to come out, I think that's a direct reflection of the leadership that they've had for 2 years, and that they chose to go out and get a victims' rights, I bet you just civil rights, lawyer. And so I believe that this statement is a reflection of the leadership that they've had for the past 2 years. I believe that what this family has probably done in the past 2 years is completely different from the families that the Gonsalveses have, like how their times are being spent. In terms of grieving, they said that they've been grieving for 962 days. I don't know if other families have been even gone through the grieving process.
And his dedicated and caring team, including victim coordinators, Kim and Stacy.
So victim coordinators, Kim and Stacy, no mention there of Ashley Jennings. Surprised about that. Surprised that there was no mention about Ashley Jennings. Maybe they've never even met with Ashley Jennings. I thought that was interesting. Kim and Stacy, though, clearly they wanted their names to be out there, and they appreciate them. So Kim and Stacy, whoever you are, wherever you are, I want to say thank you, because Your work is needed.
who have helped to guide us through the sometimes confusing and disorienting legal process. Thank you for all your dedicated, diligent, and tireless commitment to justice and the successful outcome reached today. We support the plea agreement 100%.
Okay. I want to talk about why they support this plea agreement. I would be supporting of this plea agreement as well, because I would be in fear that Bryan Kohberger would go free. If this is not a strong case and he has a chance to go free, I don't want to take a chance with the jury. I also don't want to take a chance with, if stuff was handled improperly, that errors done, technicalities, that the person that murdered my child will go free. So of course, and after Bill Thompson gave his speech on these are the facts, I do believe this is a weak case. Okay, I do. And that's why I kind of scratched my head a little bit with Steve. And Bella brought it up to my attention. Little smart little nugget. She's like, Steve's not making any sense. Steve's not making any sense when he was so worried about that they were going to even lose to be able to prosecute Bryan Kohberger to a technicality, and that evidence would be suppressed in the Franks hearing, and that, blah, blah, blah. And so he was talking about, hey, well, then don't charge him with the murder of Kaylee, and can we have this be like a federal thing, and you guys go about it so that he can be at least held accountable, like something to do with stalking or something like that. And so Bella's right. If you truly felt and had that conversation ever with an FBI agent, okay, then you would know why they're doing a plea deal. Because their case is weak. And we don't want him to get off on a technicality. We're not willing to take that risk and that he could ever harm anybody else. And so maybe the plea deal is actually unselfish of the family. Maybe everybody think about that, is that it's unselfish. Because as much as we want him to pay the ultimate price for our kids' death, we're not willing to have any other family ever go through something like this because he gets to be back out on the streets. And if that's what families are feeling like, I think it's a very unselfish thing. Think about that. That's pretty unselfish. But they totally support this plea. People could say out there that maybe they're the ones that are totally in support of it because they're not going to get drugs through the mud. People are out there saying that, hey, they were involved in like a drug life back in the day, blah, blah. You guys, if everybody in chat and everybody that watches this says that this is a weak case and they even possibly think that somebody else did it, right? But if you're being told, I can only be as knowledgeable as what I'm being told by who I believe. Why would the prosecutor ever lie to me, right? So, hey, this is the best outcome because X, Y, and Z. So think about that. Put yourself in their situation, in their shoes, and why they would ever feel the way that they do. And they went out and got this attorney. Like they're not just hopelessly walking around like, oh my God. You have to look at everything from all different perspectives before you will ever judge. And if you don't look at everything from all angles, then I don't think that you deserve the right to judge. Because that's the definition of ignorance to me. My math teacher taught me that in 5th grade. Man, if you think you can do the problem any better than the way I'm teaching you, then show me how you would do it. Or shut up. Like, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it this way? Why do I have to do it like that? I just always asked questions growing up. But my parents taught me that. If you don't know something, what are you going to do? You're going to ask questions. And I hope that parents are out there that are telling their kids, ask questions. I love it when Jax asks me questions. I love it. Especially like words. Like, hey, what does this mean? And I feel like if my kid doesn't ask me that at least once a day, like, what does a word mean? That means I'm not using good words around my kid, because I should be using words that they don't know.
While we know there are some who do not support it, we ask that they respect our belief that this is the best outcome possible for the victims, their families, and the state of Idaho.
It is.
We extend our deep gratitude to the many law enforcement officers and staff who worked tirelessly to obtain the critical evidence that brought justice today.
So when I talk about this outcome, so it got me thinking about another point, which is, how do we know that the state never offered this deal earlier? Will we ever know that? Can we find that out? Can we ask that question? Can we ask that question, which is, why wasn't this plea deal offered, in January of 2023, in February of 2023? Keep on going down. Because their case never changed. They only, they knew what they had. They had to go dig, right? And that's what that 6 months for that preliminary hearing wait, that's what they did. So my question would be like, why? And maybe their answer would be is, we didn't want to let down the Gonsalves family, let's say. Or like it was a split decision, like 2 families were fine with the plea deal, 2 other families weren't. And so like we wrote it out, but here then once the leak started happening, it was like, dude, we're not risking losing. If stuff is suppressed, if then Ann Taylor can go with credibility on these people, and hey, we wrote all the way and we're not willing to write any longer, because also people messed up and we're not willing to have that come out in trial. But this is our guy. And we violated his rights to get him. But his DNA came back to that sheath, right? So I'm just saying, like, think about how they're talking about things. And this family feels differently about how they were treated. This family feels differently. I've never even heard the Gonsalveses talk about anybody that's a victim. Like I know about Steve Nelson from the Karen Reed case. I didn't even know who Kim and what's the other, what was the other name? Was it Kim and Ashley?
Including the Moscow Police Department, the FBI, the Idaho State Patrol, and the Latah County Sheriff's Department. We are deeply grateful to Judge Hippler and Judge John Judge before him. We thank you for your diligence, thoughtfulness, and judicial guidance. We appreciate the difficult work you...
I think that's a weird sentence, though, for me. Like, the judges don't give guidance. They shouldn't be talking to the families. So, like, I think that's a but I also give grace to... I don't think she means it like that. I think that she wants to give them... Like, when I say she, Maddie's mom, whoever wrote this, I'm thinking it's Maddie's mom, got help with her husband. And she just wants to give she wants to give gratitude.
You have done to balance the rights of all involved and to uphold the rule of law.
See, balance the rights of all involved. That's what led me to believe what I just said a couple minutes ago, which was you have half the families that want the death penalty, you have half the families that want the plea deal, right? Okay. And everybody has their own reasons why. There can also be personal reasons that, like, I don't want to take his life. I'm not like him. I don't want the death penalty because I don't believe in it. What if somebody has that I don't, or if we're going to the death penalty, like, I mean, I'm going to need, like, I don't want that on my heart. That's not how.
You have had our prayers and support throughout this case. We send our love and gratitude to the many family and friends who have supported us, cared for us, and helped us to heal our open emotional wounds.
Like, see if this is how I would have approached it. Steve, you want a trial, right? Okay. Well, I'm not a big fan of the death penalty, so can we compromise here? What if we take the death penalty off the table and have a trial? That way, can we compromise that way? You're going to get your trial, but I don't want to kill somebody because I don't want that on me. Wouldn't that be an interesting, proposition to see then how Steve would feel? And then, because then the thought is, well, what if we don't get a conviction? Now you see why I want to do the plea deal. So, how strong is this case? Do you want to risk a jury?
To the good people of North Idaho, who have showered us with kindness and support, we thank you. We also mourn today with you the recent tragic and senseless loss of 2 brave North Idaho firefighters. We extend our prayers and support to their families. You are not alone. We understand your pain.
Yeah, I love
For
that.
all parents,
I love that she put that in there. After you would probably go through something like this, what it's like, and they have families, and we're thinking about them, and I just really like this. I really like this speech. The only thing I would do differently is I wish that Maddie's mom would have said it, but I don't. You know how hard it would probably be to say this.
who have endured the loss of a child, we know recovery is a long and at times an almost unbearable journey. But you are not alone. And there is hope and there is healing. We thank those in the press who have respected our privacy and the grieving process, and the privacy and grieving process of the families of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan.
That was definitely said in a way that the people that did that, there's people out there that did not do that. So I like how that was definitely separated.
To others in the press, we gently encourage you to do the same.
Right there.
We thank the many people across our nation and beyond who have reached out to us, prayed for us, and extended their kindness. You too have helped us on our journey to heal. We now embark on a new path. We turn from tragedy and mourning. We turn from darkness and uncertainty of the legal process to the light of the future. We have closure. We embark on a path of...
We have closure. We have closure. So, curious if they were provided more details than the public was, with which we're going to get into the hearing for those of you guys that didn't get to see it earlier. They have closure.
Hope and healing. We invite all of those who have mourned with us to join us, and we wish you well. Thank you. I will now share a few words of my own. Over the past 2 years, I've been amazed and humbled by Karen and Scott's strength, endurance, and faith. They have uplifted me and so many. They founded a nonprofit to help others in the name of Maddie. They have been a beacon of hope amidst a dark and tragic time. To those young and bright attorneys out there looking for purpose and meaning in your profession, I invite you to join the effort of crime victim attorneys to bring victims justice with compassion, empathy, humility, and understanding.
Well, that's never going to happen, though, because there ain't no money in that, sir. That's my humor there for you. There ain't no way that people are going to pick that when you can go into family law and make a shit ton more money and just screw people over. So, okay. I'm going to switch gears here and go ahead and show the live hearing. And we're going to pick up from where Bill Thompson talks about these are the facts. These are the facts. Basically, what I believe he's reading from is, so when you have the jury that comes in, which I was amazed about, 10,000 people. They were going to bring in 10,000 jurors. Amazed. So, and then they were going to, go through the voir dire process and get it down. 10,000. Delphi had 150 in the morning, 50 in the afternoon session, and they had 500 for the Delphi case. 10,000 people were summoned for this case. You guys, that is so many fucking people. 10,000. 10,000 people. Okay. Wow. 10,000. All right. So, let's go like this. And we're going to play this section. Now, this is what I believe would have been the, what Bill Thompson was prepared to do as like a, you can give like an opening statement for the jurors before you, like when you're doing the voir dire. And so they would all like hear this in the morning each day, just once to that big group or whatever. And this is what I believe was his little mock-up for that. Like he had been writing this because you want to give them like a synopsis of what your case is about. And so Ann Taylor would have had one as well. So what I believe Bill Thompson is what he wrote. I'm sorry, what he read and wrote. I believe what he read is what he would have told the jury when you're doing the voir dire process. Again, I can't prove that right now, but what it sounded like after I was in Delphi, that's what it sounded like to me, is that this is how he was going to explain to the jury his case. And then go from there to like, pick them out. Ann Taylor would have had her 5 minutes, they both get to do theirs. And Judge Hippler was allowing it. So I went back and checked if he was allowing that, and he was. So that I'm pretty confident that that's what that was. Okay. Oh, let's see. Let's go off of. Oh, wait here. Again, if you're here joining us, thumbs it up, thumbs it down. You're going to have an opinion. Make yourself known. These are Bill Thompson's facts. And this is why I say it was a weak case. Just because it's a weak case does not mean that Bryan's not, guilty. It just means I want to talk about somebody who's a narcissist and who wants to go all the way and beat it. This is a weak case. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Now I want to talk about body language. Okay. Ann Taylor sitting totally open to Bryan Kohberger. She doesn't think that he's gonna pull a, what is it? What's that one girl? Shabiz. What's that crazy broad's name? Who just like was attacking her attorneys. You guys know who I'm fucking talking about, right? like that fucking crazy. Okay. So here is this portion of it. So if you didn't get to see it late, earlier, here it is.
Its evidence would then show that the defendant entered the residence of 1122 through the kitchen sliding door on the back side of the residence, which is the side of the residence that would face the area above where the defendant's car was parked. Defendant entered the residence, went to the third floor, and with a knife, killed Madison Mogan and Kayla Gonzalez. The defendant, as he left that room, for whatever reason, ended up leaving, or the sheath for a K-bar knife was left on the bed next to Madison Mogan's body. And I can jump.
Okay, right there. Wow. Okay, so I have to talk about body language. Okay. Some people they can not have like tics or whatever, or like tells.
With a knife, killed Madison.
Now, the person that they added onto the team on the defense team is going to be all the way to the right. You're in
Mogan and
okay, right here. All the way to your right. That's your DNA. That's your DNA, woman. Barlow. Pick a Barlow out of San Francisco. Listen when Thompson talks about the sheath being left on the bed. Watch what she does.
Gonzalez. The defendant, as he left that room, for whatever reason, ended up leaving, or the sheath for a K-bar knife was left on the bed next to Madison Mogan's body. And I can jump ahead. That sheath was tested by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab, and single source male DNA was found on the snap of that sheath, as well as blood from both Kaylee and Madison and other trace evidence. But
okay, other trace evidence. That made me okay, so I told you guys that Maddie, and there was two, it was a mixture of blood. Okay. And so Bill Thompson saying it was Maddie's blood and Kaylee's blood. And then it was that male single source was on the button sheath. Okay. But also there was trace. Well, I'm just totally curious what that trace was, but you saw her knock her head down and scratch when he mentioned that. And she edges her head like that. That's a tell for me. Like, it's almost like she's not having that. Just throwing that out there. Look at, they're all sitting there. Boom. Who's that lady? That's a very important lady. That's Bicca Barlow. She's the person they added on for the DNA, specifically for that IgG touch DNA. So
it's important to note single source male DNA was on the snap of that sheath. The state's evidence would show that Xana Knodel was still awake at this time. In fact, had taken a door down.
This is where it's interesting for me because, yes, they find the two mixtures, then the single source, but they don't say how they uploaded the single source into CODIS and would have no match. Okay. So what I've always wanted to know, and I'm going to get the answer for us, trust me, it's coming. I wanted to know how they were going to explain to the jury, since they were not allowed to talk about IgG. How are you going to explain to the jury why you felt the need? You weren't grabbing anybody else's trash. Okay. You're not grabbing anybody else's trash. But we went and got the trash from a kid's parents' house in Pennsylvania. That got glazed, like right over it. Like nothing was mentioned. So think about this. If you're telling this to these potential jurors, they're going to hear this.
Dash order not long before this started. Her room was not on the third floor. It was on the second floor on the west side. As the defendant was either coming down the stairs or leaving, he encountered Xana, and he ended up killing her, also with a large knife. Ethan Chapin, Xana's boyfriend, was asleep in their bedroom, in her bedroom, and the defendant killed him as well with a large fixed blade knife. Each victim suffered multiple wounds. I will state for the record that there is no evidence that
Well, I will state for the record, you've been stating this whole time for the record, but he wants to state this for the record. This is really, really big. I will state for the record.
there was any sexual component or sexual assault on any of the victims. I want to make that clear so there's no speculation.
Like you've been doing this whole time, Bill.
There were 2 other roommates in the house, and they were already asleep. During the course of this, one of those roommates awoke, looked out her door, not knowing what was going on.
Okay, looked out her door, not knowing what was going on. Well, like you'd have to get out of bed, or just was her door just opened? Was her door just opened?
And saw the defendant, who was dressed in black with a black velvet cob on, holding some sort of container in his hand.
Holding some sort of container in his hand. Not a box, a container.
And she saw him leave the house through the direction of the kitchen where that sliding door is that I mentioned before. Through the direction of and she saw him leave the house through the direction of the kitchen where that sliding door is that I mentioned
She did not see him leave the house, just so you know.
Before. At approximately 4:20 that morning, so this would have been 15 minutes or so later, the defendant's car is seen on a surveillance camera for 1112 King Road, which is immediately next door to the west of 1122, leaving the area at a high rate of speed. And if the court were to see that, or anybody in this courtroom would see that, you can see the car almost loses control as it makes the corner, heads north, and then turns to go south on Walenta, which is one of the only ways to get out of that part of town. The evidence would show that following that, the defendant in his Elantra drove south of Moscow. We know that he drove on the back roads because there are surveillance cameras on the main highways, Highway 95, that would have picked up the defendant's car if he'd gone that route. And they did not show the defendant's car on that route during the time. So we know that he went through a variety of back roads in very rural, isolated part of Lake.
I mean, give it up for the defense. Like, they're sitting there just like that. Like, I mean, that's all I'm paying attention to. That's all I was paying attention to, is I wanted to see how the defense was going to sit there, and if I could tell if anything kind of like made them uneasy or like rolling an eye, or I mean, whatever. And they're just like literally sitting there, just not moving.
Utah County. About 4:48 that morning, the defendant's phone comes back on. And the evidence will show that that phone was located south of Moscow, likely at a side road intersection with Highway 95. From there, the defendant's phone activity tracks it heading back north towards Pullman, Washington, where the defendant lived. About 5:26, starting approximately 5:26, various surveillance cameras in Pullman, Washington pick up the defendant's vehicle as he enters Pullman from the south and heads north and slightly west towards his apartment, where he arrived at approximately 5:30 in the morning. Later that morning, Sunday, the 13th of November of 2022.
Okay, I just have to say this just because I have to. Matt, this is like, are you fucking kidding me, basically? She's like I've never seen her face like this. She's always like pleasant, you know, or like what I would deem as pleasant, because people are like, why is she always smiling, you know? She's always just like, you know. Okay. And so I'm just like no one's like nodding their head and like, you know, when you hear something, you're just like, mm-hmm, like when you agree with it or whatever. And you know how hard it is? Like, I was just like, hey guys, nobody moves a muscle, nobody looks, nobody says anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's poker faces. Poker faces, you know?
Mr. Kohberger's phone returned to the area of King Road. We don't know exactly what he did, but it returned to that area. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. He was there for about 10 minutes and then returned to his Pullman residence. About 9:30, the state's evidence will show, evidence taken from the defendant's phone, that he took a selfie of himself on his phone in what appears to be the bathroom of his Pullman apartment with a thumbs up. The defendant's phone then went to the Lewiston-Clarkston Valley, approximately 30 miles south of Moscow and Pullman. And the defendant is actually seen with his car at various businesses down there. This area is the confluence of the Clearwater River and the Snake River. Lewiston is.
So what I believe that the state was going to tell the jury is that they believe that that's when he discarded the knife, is that there's water over there. I've been there before, the Snake River down there, and that's where he disposed of the knife. That's what they're like leading to. That's what they're alluding. And so like I'm just picturing telling the jury this, the potential jury, because this was going to be like the voir dire part, so that you could understand the case. So they would do that like each morning.
Idaho's seaport, large bodies of moving water down there. In addition to tracing the defendant's activities, as I've just outlined, on the 13th and leading up to the 13th, the state's evidence will show that following Sunday, November 13th, 2022.
See, now I think he messes up there when he says like the following like, because he says like November 13th. I don't, so I was unclear with that when he says like the following, because it makes it seem like it's the following Sunday after the Sunday that this happened. But he says the date's 11/13.
Business records show that the defendant began searching for a K-bar knife and a K-bar knife sheath.
Okay, now that would be 11. So this is important though. So does he strategically say November 13th just to be an idiot? But that would actually be like November 20th. I've always wondered when this whole like looking up the sheath thing and like the buying another K-bar, okay, which that's what they're saying, is that he was looking up to buy another K-bar knife to replace the one that he used, right? So now that we know that according to Bill Thompson was the week, like 7 days later, so it's not the 13th, it's actually November 20th. And it would have already come out about the victims and their how they were. It was a sharp edge. Everybody was. That's when we were talking about, like people were doing like lives because they were taught. This is why they tell you don't tell anybody how somebody was killed. Only the things that the killer would know. You know, the Delphi case. They never came out and said anything concrete ever. Never. So, saying that on November 20th. But he says it on the record that he did this on November 13th, but he says a week later. It's like November 13th, a week later. And that's how he goes into that sentence. So, it'd be like actually November 20th, which had been after the first presser. So, they do the first presser on the 16th. The second presser was on the 20th. And that's really important. And then November 23rd is when I say the pressers, I'm talking about the police pressers. So on the 20th, that was like the biggest one of the pressers, if you ask me, the most revealing. So the 16th, the 20th, and the 23rd of November. And on the 20th is when what Bill Thompson here says. We'll replay it.
The state's evidence will show that following Sunday, November 13th, 2022, business records show that the defendant began searching for a K-bar knife and a K-bar knife sheath.
Searching for. This is, he doesn't say Amazon. He says just searching for. Everybody was Googling that, you guys. Do you want to know what I had? I had Scott Roeder on my channel. And prior to having on my channel, we had been talking about shit. I've known Scott for a while. And he was sending me pictures of how many, like all the different knives. Then Bella's friends had, like, we were all like looking at all these different knives and shit. Because we were going through all the victims' profiles and looking at pictures. And I found that huge ass machete. And I'm like, oh my, and it made me like, kind of like sick to my stomach, because when you actually look at the length, okay, and then you look at how these people have, really tiny waists, I'm like, oh my God, just like 1/3 of that, if that goes, it would be like through them of how big these were. So Googling a K-bar knife, everybody was. And those were just Google searches. He says business records is how he wants to word it. He doesn't say Amazon. He doesn't say that at all. Business records searches. And they're trying, and this is their narrative. Their narrative is that they were going to sell it to the jury, that he was looking for a replacement. And Ann Taylor's narrative was going to be everybody was searching it because they came out in a presser and told everybody what type of knife it was. He's in criminal justice. Just so you know how like the two stories would go. Now, if he would have Googled that, let's say on November 13th, I'd have a problem with that. And everybody should. If he was going to Google that on November 14th, November 15th. So... Do I seriously think he's still in it? Why the fuck are you in here? Shabugs, pull your shirt up a little bit. Your tits are fucking hanging out. Shabug. Do I think he's innocent? He just fucking told the world he's guilty. So I think he's innocent. The fuck is wrong with you? We're actually having an adult conversation. Bye. Shabug's titties out. Why don't you fucking hit up Bryan with those titties popping out, girl?
As the state believes, to replace the one that was left.
As the state believes. Now let's look at the reaction of the defense when that's said.
Began searching for a K-bar knife and a K-bar knife sheath. As the state believes, to replace the one that was left at the scene of the murders. The evidence also will suggest that there were at least attempts by the defendant to delete or alter his purchase history on Amazon, where all these transactions had occurred.
Where all of these transactions had occurred. Now, again, very vague and very misleading. I'm talking about, so very vague, very misleading, and to say all these transactions. You told us about one transaction of him purchasing this in March of 2022. 8-9 months beforehand. What are all of these? Like Shabug's titties? All of these titties? Like, what do you mean? Like all of these? I only heard of one. The case is weak doesn't mean he didn't do it. But listening to this is why you would offer somebody a plea deal. Like, dude, roll the dice with a jury, you think? You think the state wants any part of that?
Later that week, the state's evidence will show that Mr. Kohberger went to what we would call DMV, motor vehicle licensing here in Idaho, in Pullman, to change his car registration from Pennsylvania to Washington. That's of note because Pennsylvania cars do not require a front license plate. The vehicles seen on the surveillance cameras of the defendant's car showed it didn't have a front license plate on it. At the time of the traffic stop by Deputy Duke in August, it was Pennsylvania plate, no front license plate.
Okay, super interested in that. I'm super interested in to see how Duke, bro. How did he see on his dash cam, on his body cam, right? How did he see the front of Bryan's car? I want to know that because normally when you get pulled over, somebody's behind you pulling you over. So how did your dash cam that's behind me and your body cam that's on your chest coming up to my car, how did you see the front of my car? I want to know that. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in how that all happened. Was it one of these things that the cops going this way with the dash cam already on? Okay. Like in the Molly video. And I just want to know how his cameras caught the front license plate. As a student, anybody would be asking, like, yeah, I'm curious how that, I want to see that. I want to see that camera. I want to see that footage. I'm interested in that. Notice how during his little speech that he gave, he wasn't talking about the car making loops. Very, very interesting. They were going to abandon that. I'm telling you, they were going to abandon that. Atlanta destroyed that. I would be abandoning that too, because that's not. They abandoned this whole like loop-de-loop thing. That was for probable cause. I don't think they were even going to say that to the jury. I think they were going to abandon that part of it.
Mr. Kohberger proceeded to finish his semester of studies at Washington State University and returned to Pennsylvania for the holidays. Law enforcement at this point were aware of Mr. Kohberger, had been accessing information about him, were trying to find him. They located him in Pennsylvania. Law enforcement at this point were aware of Mr. Kohberger, had been studying. Mr. Kohberger proceeded to finish his semester of studies at Washington State University and returned to Pennsylvania for the holidays. Law enforcement at this point were aware of Mr. Kohberger, had been.
We're at this point, so we need to figure out what he means by at this point. We're aware of Mr. Kohberger. Okay, see how he's saying the story. He's saying it as if he cannot use IgG. Okay, this is what I was interested in. I want to know how you're going to. Okay, you were aware of him when. Were you aware of him after he got to Pennsylvania? Because we all know the dates of all of this stuff. Okay, what were they ever going to use any of the stoppage on the highway in Indiana? I mean, he got pulled over twice. I mean, I think Ann Taylor was probably going to use that to say that, they just happened to just pull him over back to back for nothing, making it look suspicious. I don't know what he means by this, by we were already aware of him, because according to the motions and everything that's been filed, they were not aware of him until December 19th. But do you believe that? So very vague, right? Very vague. And vague stuff does not work well with juries.
Accessing information about him, were trying to find him. They located him.
They were trying to find him. Because we were trying to find him. We were trying to find him. Basically insinuating they didn't know where he was.
In Pennsylvania, and they conducted what's called a trash pull. During the nighttime hours, agents of the FBI, who assisted immensely with this case, working with the sanitation department back in this neighborhood in Pennsylvania, took trash that had been set out on the street for collection, sent the contents of that from the Pennsylvania residents of the
Interesting here. So we've always wondered where the trash was. Was it up by the house? Was it down, already put out on the curb? Bill Thompson saying that it was put out, right? We'll see where he looks when he does that.
agents of the FBI, who assisted immensely with this case, working with the sanitation department back in this neighborhood in Pennsylvania, took trash that had been set out on the street for collection, sent the contents of that from the Pennsylvania residents of the defendant's parents.
He looks over to them, to the defendant's parents. That's what I want to know where he pointed. He pointed to the defendant's parents. Oh boy, when you watch it a couple of times, you could see like, whoa. The question would be that the jury would want to know is, you went and pulled his trash for what purpose? Like, because at this point we don't hear anything about, okay, you guys find this single source DNA on that sheath, but you guys asked all these people to turn their DNA, their phones in. Where does this name come from? And that's all I want to hear about is what was going to be what you told the jury on how you got to Bryan Kohberger, because I'm curious on that. Right? Right.
To the Idaho State Forensic Laboratory, where the lab experts there were able to identify DNA on a Q-tip as coming from the father.
And this is what Ann always wondered, which is, okay, so you pull this trash that has all this stuff in it, right? And what did you determine that you were going to test? What items were tested? It just seemed like a really, like if you don't have all these answers to these questions, it seems like a little, like a, whatever, here we go. Yeah, let's test this. And no, let's test this. And okay. And if none of, and then that's why she asked that, Rollin, that, lab bitch, the one that was Rollin, what's her name? Nolan. Was her name Kylene? Rylene? Something like that. They asked her, well, did you guys just do like an eye-to-eye comparison? Because if you have this profile and then when you got this and it didn't match, it would just be like, it's not a match, move on. And that's what Gabriela Vargas told me. She's like, Lana, this is done this is unorthodox. You would never go and get trash like that. You can't do it like that. That's not how you do it. If it didn't match, we'd have to go get back and get something, keep getting items until what we had matched what we would be pulling. Like this, that's not how you do it. That's not how you confirm anything. You can't eyeball stuff. And then just say like, oh, well, it's not it. Oh, this is off. But you know what? That's probably his family member. So, it's just not what you do.
Of the person whose DNA was found on the knife sheath that was next to Madison Mogan's body in the bed. Subsequently, an arrest warrant was issued here in Idaho, and a search warrant was issued in the state of Pennsylvania with the assistance not only of the FBI, but the Pennsylvania State Police. Mr. Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home to return to Idaho. Upon his return to Idaho, a DNA sample was taken from him, and it matched the DNA found on the knife sheath next to Maddie's body at the crime scene. I can tell the court and the public, the weapon itself, the knife, has not yet been recovered. I can tell the court that the defendant's apartment in Pullman was searched, as well as his office. Spartan would be a kind characterization. There was virtually nothing there. Nothing of evidentiary value was found. And of course, we're now talking 6-8 weeks after the time of the killings.
Well, that goes against everything that then let's unredact the video. Let's unredact the video of the search of his house. Okay. So now this all happened, all those redactions, I want to know if they're going to come down. I want to know if we're going to be able to have the body cams unredacted now. Okay. This man is not entitled to his privacy. There was nobody else that was living with him. Okay. So can we get that video? Because we have the guy saying on the body cam that, oh, Maury, Blake, whoever he was saying is going to love it, that there was a computer there. Like talking about that. So I'm just curious what was in it. Everybody knows when you leave to go home for school or for holidays, when you're living at school, I didn't pack up my whole house, put it in my car and drive. You know what I mean? I always said, why didn't Bryan Kohberger fly home? You know, why did he drive? But what do you mean there was nothing in this apartment? I like to see pictures from before and after. Was it always nothing in this place? No offense, but guys just like never have anything. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys go over to the guy's place and you're like, oh my God, is this like prison here? Like, what? We don't have anything on the walls. They don't have shit. They have their TV, you know. They got their freak off lube next to their bed. They got nothing. And you're like, and they have like 2 towels. And when you sleep over and you're like, you want me to use that towel? Like, what? They barely have soap. They have nothing in their fridge. Okay. So I would just like to see, you know, is he alluding to the fact that he packed up his place and wasn't returning, or so
In Pennsylvania, the defendant's car was seized, and it was actually pretty much disassembled internally. And it also had been cleaned. There was a bucket of cleaner right beside it.
There was a bucket of cleaner right beside it when? A bucket of cleaner, like, I'm sorry guys, but when your car's in the garage at your parents' house, like, what do you mean a bucket of cleaner? Like a bucket next to it? Like, what do you mean? What's a bucket of cleaner? I've never heard of that phrase in my life. Go grab that bucket of cleaner. Oh, you mean the bucket that then you want me to go grab the cleaning product to then put it in the bucket? That's not going to do anything. In fact, it came out that there was not even a sign of, that's what Scott Roeder said. He said, you're either going to have a sign of like a ton of cleaning product in it that's going to show that there was a clean job in it. Or you're going to have the blood or whatever there is. Like, it's going to be one of the two, but it's going to be like overly obvious that there was a sign of like a cleanup. And when I say that's not a bucket, this is forensic stuff we're talking about, Bill. He wants to talk about there was a bucket next to the vehicle that was parked in his parents' garage. When you're talking about a cleanup, law enforcement and forensic labs talk about a cleanup being forensically seen. And that's what Ann Taylor was talking about as far as there was no evidence of a clean up in his vehicle. Like, there was no signs of cleaning products when you're testing, like, okay, this has all been bleached or this has all been that. And I think the best word that I think Bill's looking for that he didn't say was it looked like his car was detailed, you know?
I think we can all look to our own cars, you know, and those compartments in the doors. We try to keep them clean where you put stuff. There's always some degree of crud in there. They were spotless. The defendant's car had been meticulously cleaned inside. And the state would present to
Bryan has OCD.
The jury that was part of the defendant's plan in covering up this. The defendant has studied crime. In fact, he did a detailed paper on crime scene processing when he was working on his pre-doctorate degrees. And he had that knowledge and skill. So, Your Honor, at the end, the state submits that the evidence that I've given just a quick overview of and that to present in court would consume weeks, which the state is prepared to do and has been prepared to do, would show that as the defendant has just admitted and pleaded guilty on November 13th, 2022, excuse me,
I was expecting Bill to say something like, yeah, we tested the car and there was a bunch of cleaning products like all throughout it, you know? The car was filthy when it was driving from Idaho to Pennsylvania when it got pulled over in Indiana. The outside was filthy, but when you walk up to it, there was definitely all a bunch of stuff in there. He just had his dad in there.
Mr. Kohberger entered the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. He did that with the intent to kill. We will not represent that he intended to commit all of the murders that he did that night, but we know that that is what resulted, and that he then killed intentionally, willfully,
Anita, you're
deliberately,
dumb
with
as fuck.
premeditation.
I've never said that.
And with malice
Suck
forethought.
my fucking titties.
Maddie Mogan.
Play with them.
Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Santa Colonel. Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch.
I will never, ever, ever apologize for fighting for our rights. He just said he's guilty. I think he's fucking guilty, don't you? Who's gonna fucking sit up there and say that there's nothing to do with if your rights are violated? I hope Anita needs a hairy dick. I hope you fucking love when your fucking rights get violated. Innocent people's rights get violated every single day. Sheldon Jeter Jr. is one of those people. Do it the right way. It matters. Integrity matters. Anita hairy fucking dick is like, oh, Lana. Why don't you write Bryan the right name? It's B-R-Y. Get it right. Twisted. Somebody's twisting Anita's pubes all day. Foolish, Anita. Foolish. I have a better argument. Okay. Now. You're lucky I even let you fucking chat in my chat, Anita. But I believe in our First Amendment, baby. I believe in it. Bryan Kohberger admitted to killing 4 people. I think you should probably believe him. I think that Hitler did a really good job of forming the questions a certain way. Yeah. Yes, heavy metal. How are you, heavy metal? Lana, so many trolls. You've never been a pro burger. I know. I think they just love it because they're like, I've never like ever. Heavy metal, exactly. Innocent until proven guilty. I feel like we were missing the proving part. Yeah. Well, you don't have to prove it once you wanted to say that you did it. You know, he went ahead and said he did it. So I just think that people should look at the true picture here, which is, do you want a man that killed 4 people to go free? Now it should be clear why the state had to offer him a plea deal, because their case was weak. That does not mean that Bryan Kohberger did not do it. In fact, if Bryan's such a narcissist and he's maintained his innocence, then why would he take a plea deal when it's like, no, I think I can beat these charges even though I killed people because I want to go and kill more people, you know? What it seems like to me is he's taking accountability for what he's done. Look at that. But all I'm saying is that what Bill Thompson just told the world that they were going to tell the jury and show that You are literally. If Bryan Kohberger killed people, do you think I want him out there so that he can kill one of your kids, my kids, somebody's kids, or somebody else's kid? Dude, if that guy wants to plead guilty and he just wants the death penalty off the table, you're going to fucking give that to him. Because who's ever pleading guilty to something like this, I think you should listen to him. You just can't have it both ways. If he's being pressured and he wants to come out one day and say that, great, awesome. I guess he can say that. How about we just go get the material? We're going to go get the material. That's how you do it. You go and you get the material. Let's do our best to get the material. Okay? That would be the discovery. That would be all of the documents that are sealed right now, that are under a temporary seal. We want them to be, oh, the temporary seal is gone and you want to get that stuff. So that's what you do. So that's what we do here. We go and get the material. Unlike nobody else out there, we go and get that shit. I use my brains to try to go and get the material and then put it out there. And then you can be your own judge and jury about what you think it means. But I will never tell you how to think, what you want to believe in. But you're not certainly going to tell me what the fuck I've been saying. You're not going to tell me anything because I don't tell you anything. Here's the material. Choke on it how you want. Now, we still have work to do. Elizabeth, I think this is way more about you than it will ever say about me because I would never be somewhere where I thought the person was sick. If this is what I did with my time all day, Elizabeth, then your time is about as valuable as the spit on the ground. Spit and slap. Peace. I mean, I love when people show their ass. I'm loving it. It was a terrible investigation. They made so many mistakes. They violated people's rights. And it wasn't just Bryan's they violated a lot of people's rights. Bottom line is that if he's truly the killer, okay, and you got a killer off the street, and he wants to take this plea deal because he kept, I don't know, wasn't going to get a fair shake, whatever the reason may be, I can just promise you this, that if you've been watching this from start to finish, then you know that I'm bringing a very, very, very key interview to this channel as soon as that gag is lifted. And we can talk about how this is the FBI and the state and the prosecutor, as they do everywhere all over the country. They violate our rights to narrow in on what they think. And innocent people go away. That is fact. That's why the Innocence Project exists. And so I believe in innocence until proven guilty. I believe in processes, and I believe in that if you have authority and if you have power, we cannot have people in those positions abusing their power. That leads to a very dangerous world. Kohberger pimping, look at. Notice how we don't block anybody here. Please, freedom of speech all day. Don't attack people. Next up. Dinky, what's good, brother? What's good? I believe in truth and transparency, right? Why does anybody ask themselves a real question, which would be, Steve feels a certain way, right? And Maddie and her family feel a certain way. Maddie's family feels a certain way, and Steve's family feels a certain way, right? Their kids were best friends there, right? People can all feel a certain way. People are gonna, how you interpret something, how I interpret something, but don't you can at least get around one thing here, which would be give us the right to see the shit, and then we can have our feelings from actually seeing it, and then we can interpret how we want. But sealing it and keeping it all boop boop, no. Lana, I think we're sisters. Well, I bet you're a fun time then. Welcome, Jesse Jr. 16. Woohoo! Now I got to figure out some stuff because I want to be there for the sentencing hearing, which is July 23rd, 2025. So I'm in the process of seeing how I can make this work. I would like to say it's been great getting to spend time with everyone during these Idaho4 streams. Especially enjoyed listening to Lana's facts, but this book has closed. Aww. Well, I am so glad, Moto Man. I'm so glad that you were here as well. If another book opens that you like over here on the channel, I hope that you come and enjoy your time. Sheldon Jr. could absolutely use all the support from the Idaho4 case. I personally had that discovery, and I personally found all the shit. That boy is innocent. Janine from Seattle. Lana, respect your victim's rights mentality. The truth is until proven otherwise. Yes, thank you for all of your due diligence. Thank you so much. How's Seattle treating you? Alicia H. Also, just so we're clear, if Bryan Kohberger wanted to back out of the deal, he has all the way up until sentencing where he can back out of it. After that, then he's going to have to prove ineffective assistance of counsel. The Richards. Cheers. Deandra, what's up? BT quote, as he left that room, for whatever reason, ended up leaving, or the sheath for a K-bar knife was left on the bed. Weird wording. Or is the or for either BK left it or it was left another way? Yeah. It all comes down to the word proving, guys. And we can all have theories and, but what they teach you in cop world too is that everyone only has a theory until you can prove it. And so what Bill Thompson is telling, that's what the state believes. That's what, that's the state's theory of the case. That's the theory of the case. That you have to prove your theory beyond a reasonable doubt. And I don't agree with anybody out there that's saying that Ann Taylor and Bryan and them did this because Hitler didn't accept the third party culpability. I don't believe that at all. Not at all. But let's go get the material. I want the material. Who wants the material? Let's get the material. Okay? I want to know if Bryan Kohberger did this alone. How about you guys? Anybody question that? Anybody realize that Bryan didn't have to say that he did this alone? How about that? I want to know. So let's get that material. And so the first thing we got to do is I can get a lot more done if I'm actually there in Idaho. I want to get there a couple of days before July 23rd. And we want to check out some dates on when sealings were done, because you only have stuff sealed for so long, and then you would have to resubmit to be able to seal it for like a longer period of time. So there's stuff that's coming up that would become unsealed. I also think if people are out there, you might want to start downloading everything on the criminal justice page, that case of interest page. I think that's going to probably be going off. And I would say that that's going to come down after the sentencing hearing. So if you haven't downloaded all of those documents, if you want those documents, I'm just saying be prepared. What else did I want to tell you guys? What's up, the Richard? Aloha, babes. I had a few, though I am literally going to let you talk, baby Lana. What? I believe there is a way more going on. Miss Bella, very much so. Give her a call. She's probably running around somewhere. I think the state made the right call with, if they think this is their person, right? Their case is weak, but more importantly, things were going to come out that they didn't want to come out about Nick Balance, is what he did, Maury, Payne, Bill Thompson, Ashley Jennings. I mean, this plea deal prevents all that. What is up, Miss Lacey J? Truth and transparency will always be the only way. Love you, Lana, and you are amazing. Thank you so much. Sorry, I got sassy with some fucks in here, but you know what? Sometimes you just gotta flex. And I bet you they liked it. They're like, oh my God, she highlighted my comment. She said something about it. I agree, Heather, about that. Because multiple things can be true. Bryan Kohberger could be the guy. His rights could have been violated, and people knowingly did it, and it was gonna, come out. You guys, I want to know what's gonna happen about this leak. Sources say that's gonna be outed. So I'm excited to hear about the leak, because I think that person, if they're in law enforcement, should lose their job. 100% should lose their job. Okay. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? How do you think that you are above 4 murdered college kids, a person fighting for their life, and our justice system? Who the fuck do you think you are? I want to roast the fuck out of whoever is involved with any leak. I will have a personal live that says, ooh, shabugs! Shabugs, girl back. Girl, you like it here? You like it here, don't you? Be honest. Be honest. Be honest. What would you like? You want me to admit I'm wrong about what? Go find me a live where I ever said that Bryan Kohberger didn't do this. Go find me that. Go find me that live. Apologize about what? I want to apologize about being bomb. Sorry. Nothing to apologize about here. Bryan Kohberger's innocent until proven guilty. Today, Bryan Kohberger told the world that he is guilty. I think you should probably believe him. Wrong. Who's wrong? I apologize, Lana. Yes. Oh, I didn't see it, girl. Hi, Shabugs. How do you say your name, girl? I'll just call you SH. I apologize, Lana. Oh, I didn't see it, girl. I would have been like, oh, it's all good, girl. See me? I'm a lover. She's like, see, I like it here with everybody that's fucking, yeah. Exactly. No one is wrong. No one was wrong. No one knows factually the truth. Yeah. The only thing that I think is wrong is I think Bill Thompson's version of the story is very, very weak, and I would have cut a plea deal too. They clearly did not want to roll with the touch DNA. I wouldn't either. If I believe that Bryan Kohberger was guilty and I had other things that I knew but I couldn't use, and maybe we don't even know to this day about because they were doing whatever, but I can't be rolling around with having Molly on the stand. Okay. There's just too many issues. There's too many issues. But remember why there's issues. It all comes in the integrity of something. Do we believe in the integrity of this plea deal? There are so many questions. Even the people that say that Bryan Kohberger is so guilty and have been screaming, you should hear Ashley Banfield. She was so happy to call him a murderer today. I should probably play that for you guys. I was like, oh my God, she's just jizzing in her chair right now. Rumor has it that Dylan was there today. I don't know if you guys know that. mean, Ashley Banfield was elated, absolutely elated. She couldn't wait to, and she says that I couldn't wait to legally say that you were a murderer. Just like, but Ashley's passionate. What can you say? She's coming full force for you. Yeah, Lana has never said he is innocent or guilty. That's exactly right. Because I've always said I have no idea, and nobody else should either, because we haven't seen the fucking evidence. Exactly, Green. Yes. I hope that Dylan and Bethany speak out, and I hope that they fucking say, because I want them to say, "Fuck you, Bryan." All these people think that we're fucking nefarious over here because we were, I don't know, we messed up what time we went to sleep. We fucking were doing whatever on our phones. My phone automatically reset. I don't know, but go fuck yourself, Bryan. Fuck you, asshole. Ashley Banfield says, new information released. There was no new information released, okay? If you want new information, you need to go do some public requests. Who would ever thought that P. Diddy and Bryan Kohberger on the same day would be in a courtroom, So here we go. Let's see. You just got to hear you got to hear Ashley Banfield say this. Like, I'm just like, dude, Ashley's going ham. I love it. And she's like, I finally can call you a murderer. Yeah, exactly, Heather. That's their narrative, and they would have had to prove that. And that's what Hitler was saying, they have to prove that you went into the house and did this, and he says, he's saying yes to all of it, did the state prove that? They didn't prove any of it. He said, though, that he killed all four. And all I'm saying is that you should probably believe him if he's saying it, right? If that changes one day, then you should listen, but I just want to hear from my girl, Ann Taylor. I want to hear from my girl, Ann Taylor. Here, let me play this. Oh, let me focus for a second. And that's actually the first time that we've ever heard Bryan Kohberger speak in the courtroom, right? I think one other time he said yes. Here we go.
Who has been standing by. And Ashley, you've covered this from the beginning, and I would imagine, you are feeling a lot. Obviously, we know these victims' families are feeling a lot. We heard from Bill Thompson, the prosecuting attorney there, toward the end of his statement. He got choked up a bit. We know that this is ultimately what was wanted. Kohberger is now being held responsible. He is now pleading guilty, admitting guilt, admitting to taking the lives of these four young people. But we still don't know all of the details. We still don't know his motive. There is no why that has been answered.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
And we may never get that, but Nicole Burley, as I live and breathe, I'm going to tell you that it is still breathtaking. No matter how many times I see this happen, it is still breathtaking to hear someone like this. And I'm going to say it for the first time on air. This sick and twisted murderer. This sick and twisted murderer. It's breathtaking to hear him confess. It's breathtaking to hear him say yes. It's breathtaking to now know, after 2.5 years of him saying, it isn't me, it's someone else. It's you. You are the sick and twisted murderer, Bryan Kohberger. Legally, we can say it because he said it. I just can't tell you, it just does not get old to see a dry, hearing like this, where maybe we didn't get the motive or the details, but we now know that is the sick man that did this. Nicole, there's some other details that came out in this that I didn't know before. Perhaps I missed them, but can I go over these? Have you got a second?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just want to mention to our viewers, we are taking a look. These are new photos just taken of Bryan Kohberger there in court. No expression, Ashley.
How about breathtaking that a killer would be off the streets? She's like, I just get to say it legally now. You sick and twisted murderer. Okay. I'm just like, whoa, okay, Ashley. Tell us how you really feel. So you didn't believe that he was innocent until proven guilty, right, Ashley? Is it safe to say that? I never thought that he was innocent, Lana. Okay, sounds good.
No matter how many times I see this happen, it is still breathtaking to hear someone like this. And I'm going to say it for the first time on air. This sick and twisted murderer. This sick and twisted murderer. It's breathtaking to hear him confess. It's breathtaking to hear him say, yes. It's breathtaking to now know, after 2.5 years of him saying, it isn't me, it's someone else. It's you. You are the sick and twisted murderer, Bryan Kohberger. Legally, we can say it because he said it. I just can't tell you, it just does not get old to see a dry hearing like this, where maybe we didn't get the motive or the details, but we now know that is the sick man that did this. Nicole, there's some other details that came out in this that I didn't know before. Perhaps I missed them, but can I go over these? Have you got a second?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just want to mention to our viewers, we are taking a look. These are new photos just taken of Bryan Kohberger there in court. No expression, Ashley, not really showing any signs of emotion.
No, well, he's had 2.5 years to process what he's done. Maybe he thought he could get away with it. Maybe he thought he was smarter than all of us. But he's had 2.5 years to realize this could have been the outcome, or maybe facing down 5 to 7 marksmen with a target over his heart in the shooting chamber. So a couple of things I just want to mention that I did not know before, and forgive me if the audience is watching and you knew it and I missed it, but we now know for sure that he drove that white Elantra up that side road beside the house and parked where I assumed he did, up high, and scrambled down the bank into the backyard to the kitchen door, and that he used the kitchen door to enter, and that he went up to the 3rd floor, and that he killed Maddie and Kaylee first.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your...
Oh, Ashley, tell us how you really feel. You sick and you know who she reminded me of right there? Dave. And you hearted it. You vile, you sick and twisted. So, let's see. These are some of the pics from inside I have here. Let's see what we got. Sick and twisted, vile fucking assholes. I'm so curious though, where are his eyebrows? So curious. I went up Time magazine. You know, pulled an OJ. Pulled an OJ. There you go. But I don't see any eyebrows. I mean, I'm just saying. Yeah, I think he's innocent. I'm just pointing out. I'm just being I don't know, commentary. Like, there's just no eyebrows there. Anyways. Oh boy, Ashley. It could just be the lighting, you know, maybe in Ada County. I don't know. You like that, Dinky? Dinky, you like that? I want to know if he had a, what do you call it on? You think he had a vest on or like that? You know, I just, vile and disgusting Ashley Banfield. This fucking murderer. Absolutely, Ashley. I couldn't agree more. I blame the state. Why would you drag for 2.5 years all these people. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you just cut the deal a long time ago? We would have never known that people were, I don't know, doing whatever at whatever time. And I think that Bryan Kohberger has a lot of trust in Ann Taylor. You know, you think he's looking at her side eye, or do you think he's looking at her like, I'm about to fucking stab you? I think that Ann Taylor's celebrating. She saved a man's life, and that's her job. So Ann Taylor's like, well, I won because I saved his life. That's my job. But she could be asking herself at what cost, because maybe she's thinking like, did I advise him right? Should he have just fought? You know, don't know. Maybe Ann Taylor will tell us one day about that. How about Bill Thompson, like begging the judge, oh, can we keep that gag order until the sentencing? Thanks. I think he trusts her. That's what I think he trusts Ann Taylor. I think this picture sums it up. You know, I think he trusts everybody on that team. So mainstream media is shitting on him for no emotion. Yeah. Same shit, different day. So, but I think that they I think that the state made the right call. I wouldn't want to be going to the half of that case. I'm telling you guys, that case is weak as fuck. Doesn't mean he didn't do it. It means I'm not willing to let him fucking murder off in the streets. So we're gonna cut this plea deal because we're not taking a chance. And he wants to say yes to it. Come on, it's like a fucking no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I feel bad because Bill Thompson, I believe, gaslit people about how strong his case was, and it wasn't. And you know, that's just, you know. But I think that you made right choice to do that. For them to do it, like the state, I could see why. What does it say? And has hot. No wonder incel like him would love her. Just gotta put that up there. So the gag order will be lifted after the sentencing hearing, and then it'll be lifted at the end of that. So we need to get our butts there. Lana is looking out for all of our rights, and Lana, that is always right. Thank you. I think a lot of people realize that. What's Molly gonna do? Hopefully not Molly. Hopefully she doesn't do Molly. All right. Thank you guys so much. You guys rock. I'm gonna head on out. After watching Delphi, I probably had a little. I don't know. I say, give me liberty or give me death. I'm not sitting in a fucking. I would never be in that situation though. All right, peace out, guys. Much love. We'll be back here. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then. I don't know. I know you guys like those night caps. We'll see. We'll see what breaks. We'll see if something new pops. Since they kept the gag order on, that's why I'm not expecting too much. I only want them to lift it so that, the bullshit can stop, Like, I want these cops go on a world tour and ask them to prove it. Truth Seeker's like, yes, tonight. Yes, tonight. We need a nightcap. Something wrong. Three fingers. I'm coming for you. Something wrong. I'm coming for you with my 3 fingers. All right, guys. Peace. Make sure you guys thumbs it up. Thumbs it down. Make sure you do something. Don't sit on my fucking fence. Love you. Love you all. So much. Bryan admits, I did it.